it's Diane, the Creative Inkster, and today is Monday, August the 8th. Sorry to have totally missed out on lives last week. It was our August 1st civic holiday, the first Monday in August. So I took a little vacation day, and then Tuesday, unfortunately, I had to go and deal with a little medical situation and knew I wouldn't be back in online, so did a little cancellation on Technique Tuesday. But I am back this week, and we are going to do some fun stuff together. So if you're watching live, please let me know by leaving a comment in the comment section. It's over here, wherever it is. And if you're watching the replay, I love to get a little message from you as well, and so I can check in and see who's been watching along. So this is not the exact card we're making tonight, but this was the inspiration for it. This little idea of using up your strips of paper here and then embellishing the front. This card is from my upcoming class called Spruced Up Bundle class. It includes the whole bundle. So it's a sneak peek at that card, but we're going to use the same idea and make our cards with that tonight. So let's get started. Alrighty, so what I suggested in the handout or the post was having a card that opens this way, so it's 4 1/4 wide by 11 inches long. You score it in half at 5 1/2 and fold it, and that's your standard card size. And then you're going to need a piece of white that's just a little bit smaller. It measures 4 by 5 1/4. We're going to add our little strips of paper to it. And the reason I have it 4 inches wide is so that we can add them across, fitting flush to the edge. But if you find when you're all done adding your strips that they might be a little askew or something, hi Brenda, hi Vicky, then we can trim it down. And that's what I did on this one here. I trimmed it down from 4 by 5 1/4 to about 3 3/4 by 5, and that makes them all a little bit like the two end ones a little different size, but that's okay. I just wanted to cut the sort of pieces that were a little bit off center. Like nothing's perfect in lining it up, right? So that's what can happen. So what you want to do is find in this card anyway. I'm going to show you a second one and how I did it a little differently, but I found 4 pieces of patterned paper that are pretty much from the same pack, so they have a similar look and feel. I'm just going to flip these around a little bit to get what I want here, and I've cut them to 4 by 5 1/4. No, I'm sorry, I've cut them to 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches, all 4 of them, and then I've taken 4 pieces of cardstock, which I haven't embossed. I've just simply left plain, but you could emboss them. I did that with a different card with this as well. So these could go through and be embossed. You could stamp on them if you wanted. I'm just going to slide them in between to spread out the colors a little bit. There we go. So over here on the right, I'm just arranging them the way I would like them to be in their final orientation. So once again, they're 3/4 inches tall by 4 inches wide. And it really doesn't matter what glue you use, and it really doesn't matter what cardstock you use here. I'm using white because it was handy. And you can start at the top or the bottom, but you kind of want to start at one end for sure to sort of get it, the first one placed as flush to the bottom and to the right and the left as you can. So I like using liquid glue for this because I can wiggle it over. You see it just kind of pushed out of place. So if I press it down and then I check the back and see that I don't see it sticking through, that's a good starting point. And then I can go ahead and add the next one butted right up against it. So I hope everyone's keeping well. What crazy weather we've had. Talking about thunderstorms for this morning, I was like, okay, well, I'll work on the inside of the house and do some stuff around the inside because it's going to rain. And then it turned out to not rain this morning. I have a hard time keeping up with the weather person and what they're telling us is going to happen day by day. That's okay. So I can see this one might be Oh no, I just need to line it up a little bit. So if your measurements are off a little bit, it's totally fine. You can trim this down even by a small amount, either 1/8 of an inch or a quarter of an inch, whatever works for you. No one's going to know they were all originally 3/4 of an inch tall. Okay, so there's the next one. So that's 4 working up, and then this pretty pattern. This paper is from the Wonderful World paper pack for Celebration. It's a stamp set and paper pack, which is lovely. You get 12 sheets, 12 by 12 to use with your pretty stamp. And I like it because it's free. So I get some free crafting materials. Just buy the stuff I'm normally going to buy. And use this up. Okay, and then the colors in here that I've chosen with the cardstock to complement are Pear Pizzazz, Orchid Oasis, and So Saffron. And I'm not putting the Orchid Oasis too close to the color that I think they're saying is Orchid Oasis, because I don't know about you, but I don't feel like the colors are a perfect alignment in tone. Okay, so you can see as I'm getting to the top, ever so slightly, this is a little off. That's okay. It's totally fine. I'm just going to trim the top. We're going to be fine with this. Each time you do it, it'll be a little bit different. Come on, glue. Let's work together. Great way to use up those scraps, because if you're like me and you take a 12 by 12, I pretty much always cut it vertically at 4 inches for the first piece, because I'm going to use a 4 by 5 1/4 inch layer. So typically that's kind of what I do. All right, so then we can see that we have a little bit of white showing here, and I don't want that white to show because I don't really need it to show. So I can just hand cut it off, or I could put it in the paper trimmer. But I have the pattern paper on the edge that I can use as my guide to trim it off, and my scissors are nice and sharp, so a-okay. All right, so this is basically 4 by 5 1/4, and it's going to fit on the front of the card base. Now, one thing you could do once you've got your strips put on like this is you could die cut another piece out that would be a layer, and it would have all of those on. You could do some punching. So if you have your strips like this and you wanted to punch out, say, better colors for this maybe, but if you wanted to punch out a dragonfly, then you'd have all the different papers. You should be able to do that. I probably would put this on copy paper so it's not too thick to go through a punch, but dies would go through just perfectly. So before we glue it down, we have to decide, are we adding any ribbon? And I think I'm going to add my ribbon behind my little label here. So the greeting I'm going to use in Pear Pizzazz is sending you smiles for every moment of your special day. And the photopolymer, or the clear mount cases are great for seeing the greetings right on the back. You can find it right away. You don't have to be able to read backwards, which is a great skill. You can do it. All right, so grab a block and some Pear Pizzazz ink, which is in this color scheme here. And I've already punched out a label. So I'm just going to stick my head over top to see about getting that on there. Ah, pretty good. Pretty centered. Now I feel like it needs something else, so I've decided to pull in a dragonfly. And I've got a scrap of paper here and some soft suede ink. I'm just going to grab one of the dragonflies from its stamp set. There we go. Oh, I missed a little spot. Flip it over. It's magic paper. You can use the other side. That's better. So that's my soft suede. Clean this guy up. So he's from the Dragonfly Garden, which was a bundle at one time, but no longer is sold as a bundle. We just have the Dragonfly punch separately. So grab my punch. Punch out this guy. Love how our punches are so easy to use. If you haven't placed a celebration order yet, a reminder that it goes until the end of August. There are some new items that have been added, items that are actually in our regular catalog, and so they've been added as freebies. So you want to check that out. It was in my newsletter. If you don't get my newsletter, let me know. I'm going to add something to the back of this. I'm going to add the, let me think about this. Maybe I want to put my gold ribbon around. If I put that around, and my greeting, and my dragonfly, do I like that? This is called auditioning your card. I don't like my greeting too high. Ooh, I like it on the gold though, on the yellow. That looks nice. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So a quick trick on putting ribbon on. You just need it to be, oh, half an inch or maybe a little bit longer, wider than the strip it's going on. And then you can add glue dots or Stampin' Seal or any tear and tape, that kind of tape runner type adhesive. Just pull this around and adhere it at the back. And then this saves you a little bit of ribbon if you want to add a bow or a knot and do it this way rather than wrapping it all the way around and doing that knot and ribbon, knot and or bow. So you save a little bit. Makes your ribbon go a little bit further. And I kind of like this knot, how that sits on there. I'll get this cut off. Oops. Time to sharpen my scissors. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to put a greeting on here so we can, because that knot is on the straightaway piece, you can just pull it over. You don't have to worry about the placement of it too much. And when I stick these on with dimensionals and it's going over ribbon, I tend to put my dimensionals on the top and the bottom so that the ribbon falls through the center and doesn't actually get glued down. When it just glues itself onto a ribbon, it tends to flop a wee bit. This will help it adhere better, being it as it's on top, exactly on top of cardstock to cardstock. And then here's our butterfly, or our dragonfly. Let's give him some sparkle with the wink of Stella on the wings. You can also color these dragonfly wings in, or if you do your dragonfly in one color, you can take a blender pen right after stamping it and spread this wing color around. I like adding the wink of Stella for sparkle, especially on dragonflies, because that's what you see, right? You see them, they look a little iridescent. So I'm just going to put it even through the body. There we go. It gives it a little sparkle. It dries pretty much immediately. And we'll just stick it on there. There. Add a little dimensional to it. And call it a day. Awesome. My BOGO sale is happening August the 20th. It'll be in person, and I hope to see you there. I will send you information if you need me to, but it was in my newsletter. I'm going to pop this guy up. So I hope you'll come and purchase through my gently used products. There will be an online version afterwards, after the local one. I'll let you know the date and time for that, and sell off the leftover things that are still there. Great deals to be had. You pick whatever you like out of my retired, and let's say it comes to $100, then you would get, no, let's say it comes to 120. That's an even better number to work with. Comes to 120, you pay 120 plus tax and shipping, because you're going to order stuff from an annual catalog or the mini catalog, and you'll get to take home the retired for free. And as well, at 120, you'll get a free celebration item. So you could pick out this paper and the matching stamp set that goes with. And so it's a great time to shop BOGO. All right, here is tonight's card inspired by the Christmas version. Let's do another one. So instead of cardstock and 4 different types of patterns of paper, this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm still using my 4 by 5 1/4, but I'm going to use all pattern paper. So let's alternate here a little bit. I was trying to see if I cut these in such a way that it's a running pattern, but I don't think that's the way I cut them. That's okay. They're all going to be pretty. And then we'll put this blue in between. It comes from the same paper pack. And see how that's going to look. This is a little bit more of a fall looking card with the colors. Poppy Parade and the former, I mean, you can use Night of Navy, but the former Misty Moonlight color, I think they're calling it Night of Navy, but it's a very light color. I don't like covering up those pretty birds, but I need this version of the paper, this side of the paper. And we'll just add in a bunch of different paper strips. Okay, so when that happens and it falls and you get glue where you don't expect, let it dry and get yourself one of these guys, but you need to let it dry. And then this you can get at Dollar Tree. We used to sell them, but we don't sell them anymore. But you let it dry and then you can use it like an eraser and it just pulls the adhesive off. Easy peasy. Works with all of our adhesives that we sell. Can't vouch for the other brands, but definitely the Stampin' Up! Tombow and our Stampin' Seal and tear and tape and such. This bottle's getting to the end. But can you see how you'd use up your scraps here? It's pretty simple. Pretty easy way to use them up. I think I'm going to use the same greeting, because I think it works for so many different options. Oh, look at this one. I think it landed right on the 4 by 5 1/4 inch mark. Super. Okay, no trimming required on this one. And this is pretty much dry, so I'm going to take my eraser and just use the end of it. It feels like a bit of rubber. It's a rubber piece. And it basically balls up all those little bits that are your leftover adhesive. Super handy. Just want to be careful because you don't want to tear the paper by pulling too hard on it. There we go. Looking good. And then I've got soft suede card base, so that kind of goes with what we're working with here. And my greeting, this time in soft suede, so it's perfectly matched to the card base. Ooh, I must have wiggled it a little bit. Let's grab another piece. I have the punch handy and I have another piece of cardstock, so I'll just grab that. Maybe I'll stamp it first this time and then punch it out. There we go. Beautiful soft suede. Love this color. So because when I go to put it in my punch, I know it's not going to go down far enough. I'm just going to trim off this excess here. I'll probably use this for something else. It's a good scrap piece. And then I can just go in here, punch that out, and grab some ribbon. Landed on the floor. Use my Stampin' Seal. I'm going to put a few strips of it on the back of my label. And then I'm going to do this zigzag, crisscross zigzag. So you need a good amount. Oopsie. It's sticking better to my fingers than it's sticking anything. So you go from one end and then you turn it to make a little bow. Oops, a little fold over. Bring it back to the other side. Fold it again. And then this time it'll sneak out the end. So I'll show you what it looks like on the back before I cut it. See? You're just zigzagging it across. Nice way to use up ribbon. I think it's about, well, it would roughly be 3, 6, 9. Yeah, it's probably 12 inches of ribbon. There we go. And then we'll stick that on there. But isn't that stunning? Doesn't that just pop right off those muted colors? And then when you put your dimensionals on the back, put them on your ribbon to help it stay in place. Just gives it that little bit more staying power. And stick this on here. And then I think I will take those dragonflies and punch out, at the top of the punch there's a small one that has no stamp to it. I think I'll just punch out 3 out of the scrap piece, and then I can think about adding them to the card. Yeah, either with a glue dot or a little liquid glue, and they just kind of sit on there. Point letting that piece of paper go to waste. And here's the third one, which I was going to put down near the bottom. I think they need a little embellishing though. They're a little boring just by themselves. Oop. Don't fly away. So let's add a little embellishment. We have these red and green pearls, which is kind of a misnomer. They're called red and green adhesive back pearls. So they're cherry cobbler and soft succulent and silver and gold. Like, that's perfect. I love gold embellishments. That's why I got them. So we're going to add a little bit of gold to these little guys here. I like these ones. I have to find a use for the silvers, right? 1, 2, 3. There we go. I think I'm going to use this as a wedding card. I have a reason. I'm not going to the wedding, but I am going to babysit my grandson because my daughter's going to a wedding. And I have a little gift for the bride and groom. So I think this might be the perfect card to give to them. So let's glue it down in place. You can slip a little gift card in there, or attach it to a bag, or insert it in a gift bag. And that is our second card. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here. Hi, Melanie. Could add Wink of Stella for them. Yes, that's true. That would help them a lot, wouldn't it? It would. I love embellishments, though. I mean, I really do. I really like adding something to my card. So here is the inspiration and the other two. So you can see I did cut this one down. And I made another one, and I don't know why I decided not to show it earlier. I don't know. Maybe I'm deciding to put it in as a post. I don't know. But it was in a different spot on my table. But this is a cute new witch's hat. And it's the same idea. Okay, well, I hope this gives you some inspiration. I'll be back tomorrow night with a fun Technique Tuesday card layout that I learned from somebody. Have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.